the Water and Infrastructure Committee meeting of December 17th, 2025. Please come in order. It is 9:06 a.m. May I ask all participants to silence any noise-making equipment? I'm your chair, Tom Cook. Members, per the Sunshine Law, please identify by name who, if anyone, is in the room, vehicle, or workplace with you today, exclusive of minors. I would also like the department representatives who have joined online to please also turn on your cameras when it's your turn to speak. Now I'd like to introduce the committee members. Good morning, Committee Member Yukile Sugimura.
Good morning, Chair, and Merry Christmas.
Good. And aloha and good morning, Member Paulton.
Aloha kakahiaka kaku.
You got the,
and Merry Christmas.
and thanks for bringing the spirit. Good morning, Council Chair Alice Lee.
Good morning, Chair Cook. I'm home alone in my workspace, except I have my little 3-month-old kitty with me. Her name is Jill No Listen Lee.
No, listen. Good morning, good morning, Member Rollins Fernandez.
Aloha kakahiaka chair, aloha kakahiaka ko. I am in my work vehicle alone. There are currently no testifiers at the Molokai District Office, and it sounds like baby Jill takes after her mom.
She is.
Good morning, Member Johnson on Lanai. Aloha and Merry Christmas.
Aloha, Merry Christmas to you and everyone else out there. I'm alone on my side of the office, and there's no testifiers here at Lanai District Office. Thank you.
Good. And good morning, Member Nohi U'u Hodges.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'm alone in my car right now, and I will be joining you folks shortly.
And good morning, aloha, Member Sinensi.
Hey, aloha kakayaka Chair, no testifiers in Ana.
And from the Department of Water Supply, I would like to welcome Director Stuffelbein.
Good morning, Chair.
And Planning Program Administrator, Eva Blumenstein.
Good morning, Chair, members.
And from our Corporation Counsel, Deputy Corporation Counsel, Caleb Rowe.
Good morning, Chair.
From our OCS committee staff, our hardworking staff, I want to thank and welcome Keone Hurdle, Jared Pasquale, Maria Leon, Carla Nakata, and Lei Dening. Please see the last page of the agenda for information on meeting connectivity. Good morning, everyone. Today we have one item on today's agenda. WAI 18 relates to water conservation and the control of water use during water shortages. Members, if there are no objections, I'd like to take testimony after receiving opening comments on WAI 18. Thank you. Thank you, members. Let's begin. Members, Bill 158, 2025 proposes to amend the Maui County Code to strengthen water conservation requirements and establish a comprehensive framework for managing water use during declared water shortages. Bill 158 repeals the existing Chapter 14.06A and establishes a new Chapter 14.6.06B, which consolidates and updates water conservation policies, water shortage declarations, enforcement provisions, and best management practices. The bill also makes conforming amendments to the subdivision ordinance to ensure that the new developments incorporate water savings, landscape design, irrigation, and conservation measures. Enforcement provisions are consolidated within Chapter 14.06B, including penalties, appeals, and service shutoff authority. The committee transmitted written questions to the Department of Water Supply on Bill 158 Responses from the department have been received and are included on Granicus as items 4 and 7. The proposed CD1 version attached as Granicus number 10 clarifies definitions, updates outdoor watering schedules, strengthens leak detection and water waste provisions, and establishes staged water shortage response measures. The department has a presentation, so without objections, we will take testimony after the presentation. Director Stelfenbein, you may begin.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, you can bring up the slide presentation. And before I begin, I just want to say two quick things. One is that this is really the result of the work of one of our really good staff members, Robert DeRobles. He worked hard on this and I think did an excellent job in putting a lot of this together. And he was going to make this presentation. Unfortunately, he's in travel hell and on an airplane somewhere and couldn't call in. so I'm doing the presentation for him. But he did some really good work. Secondly, I just wanted to mention that we did some public outreach a few months ago and on general water issues, and certainly the water conservation and the desire from the public to upgrade and strengthen our water conservation code was at the top of the list of comments we received from the public. So this is really in something that was in development, but it's also in line with what the community is telling us that they want us to do, and the council as well. So with that, I'll start. Next slide. Again, I'm going to go over quickly today the purpose of the ordinance, the rationale for it, and then we'll get into the ordinance provisions and kind of a quick summary, and then water use statistics, what kind of our goals are in terms of water conservation, and then what we do and plan to do even more in terms of community engagement to help the community to comply and to conserve water, and then talk about the alignment with our legal and policy requirements. Next slide. So the purpose of the water conservation ordinance, it's kind of motherhood and apple pie. It's just really good things that we should be doing. It's to protect Maui's obviously scarce and natural water resources, to make sure there's reasonable standards and restrictions. We want to make them stiff but reasonable, to safeguard essential public services so that when there's problems with the water supply, we're getting the best, we have water available for the things that we absolutely need, to ensure sustainability and to ensure public awareness of water conservation. A lot of the efforts that we do are just making sure that everyone understands the importance of water conservation and what they can do to be doing their part, and then to provide need-based water through conservation. Next slide. The rationale for the water conservation ordinance is pretty clear. When we have droughts, and we tend to have more and longer droughts, obviously, there's less rainfall, so we need to conserve water as best we can. We are seeing some rising chloride levels in some of our wells, so we need to be cognizant of that. And we're also seeing decreasing stream flows as a result of the less rainfall to our treatment facilities. There, of course, is additional growth, and we want to support especially affordable housing. It's kind of our primary mission. It helps us offset capital cost. Any water that's saved through conservation means less, that's offsets hopefully some cost in terms of developing new sources. It's the cheapest option in terms of new water supply. And we want to make sure that there's clear guidance to the public about what our water conservation goals are and how to achieve them. We want to make sure we're consistent with all the state and county plans and clearly define what is wasting water, what things people are doing that cause water to be wasted, so they understand that. And then to help find equity in times of storage. Next slide. Okay, in terms of our policy, next. So according to the Hawaii State Constitution, our policy statement includes protecting water in its natural state, making sure there's equity between the general public and the Hawaiian homeland's water use, and also to use the precautionary principle to protect water, which means obviously do no harm and be very conservative in terms of making sure that the water resources are protected. Next slide. Okay, now the provisions, the actual, what's the beef of the provisions? It is, Robert did a really great job of looking through all of these plans and making sure that what we're proposing is consistent with all of these plans. I won't go through the list of them, but there's state plans and county plans, and they all say a lot about water conservation. And so we think what we have here is a plan that is consistent and ties in very nicely with all of these existing plans. Next slide. Okay, in terms of physical loss prevention, it's important to find and identify non-revenue water losses. And that really gets down to leaks in our system and leaks in the private system. So we want to prevent and reduce, make sure that in terms of private property owners that they're repairing water leaks quickly. Basically the ordinance requires them to be repaired as quickly as possible and no longer than 30 days. We also, in terms of providing information and guidance, we saw our role as investigating and repairing private property leaks, and that we encourage people to have efficient irrigation systems that are essentially controlled, that they use soil moisture sensors so that they're not over irrigating. They have auto shutoff valves to stop leaks and control irrigation, convert lawns to equally pleasant drought resistant landscaping, use electric blowers to clean off outdoor debris as opposed to obviously washing them off with water, and replacing aging toilets, urinals, and irrigation systems, and using pool covers, which is a really important thing in terms of reducing evaporation from the pools. Next slide. In terms of agricultural customers, we're encouraging the best practices that be used. That includes efficient irrigation, installing soil and rain sensors, using drip irrigation whenever feasible, catching the rain, which is really something we very strongly support, catchments, managing the soil with amendments, using on-site water reuse whenever possible, and growing crops growing sustainable crops that are, varieties that are sustainable in this situation in Maui. Next slide. Okay, so here's some of the specific provisions. We are proposing that outdoor watering be prohibited between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., with some exceptions which we'll go into below. Mainly that means no sprinklers. No sprinklers between 9 and 5 p.m. because you lose so much of the water during the time of day when you have high evaporation. And then also don't water when it's heavy rain, when it's raining, obviously, or when there's high winds. With the high wind, again, a lot of the water just doesn't get to where you want it to go. It just, blows away. And then we're proposing that we have staggered days for landscaping irrigation, basically allowing it only every other day, depending on, if you're on even residential, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, odd residential, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and so on. And so this is a very effective method that many cities and counties use across the country to just reduce water consumption. Now here's the exceptions. You can water between 9 and 5 if you're using hose watering with shutoff valve. Drip irrigation, we always want to encourage that. Agricultural customers are not required to comply with this. And if you're using 100% recycled water, you can water anytime. And if it's newly installed landscapes, we understand that if you put something in that's new, you need to water them a little more often, so we make exception for that. Next slide. And then what is wasting water? Well, here's some of the specific definitions for wasting water. First of all, it's not regarding the best management practices, not using best practices. Removing yard waste debris with potable water, in other words, washing off your driveway with just your hose with potable water. Irrigating during heavy rains, that's a water waste. Neglecting leaks and overspray, overwatering landscaping, and then exceeding the highest water rate tier. So these are all what we consider to be just wasteful things that should be addressed. Next slide. And stop. Okay, kind of things that can be corrected. If you have a sprinkler that's watering too much or not on target, fix that. Don't water during the peak sun hours, as we discussed. Use drip irrigation whenever possible. Don't just have spray irrigation for plants and shrubs. That wastes a lot of water. Leaking irrigation systems should be fixed quickly. In terms of household water use, your outside irrigation is over half of the water use. So that really is where they can make the major improvements. Not applying the cycle and soak method. In other words, you don't want to have all the water at one time because you lose a lot of it. You want to have it watered, give it a chance to relax, and then water again. Using soaker hoses, you don't want to use you don't want to use in sandy soil. You need to be understanding of kind of what the soil conditions are. In sandy soils versus clay soils, you have a different watering schedule. Obviously, don't water during rain events and replace inefficient fixtures and appliances. Next slide. Okay, and now in terms of encouraging landscape planning to save water, this applies to existing and new commercial, residential, and public properties where the ordinance requires the installation of efficient irrigation systems, designing landscapes around water conservation. So as you're putting your landscaping together, consider how that you could conserve water in what you're proposing to install. Improve and replace water-intensive landscapes, reuse water whenever possible, and encourage pool covers. In the ordinance, actually, we're recommending that we not only encourage pool covers, but require them whenever the property is vacant or not used, or the pool is not used for more than 30, or the house is not used for more than 30 days. They were saying that pool covers should be required in those situations. Next slide. For commercial establishments where best practice would be to make sure that staff is trained to understand how to save water, that there are water conservation programs for the patrons, such as, for example, on hotels, make sure people have the option of not having their sheets and towels laundered every day, for example. Make reasonable operational improvements, and again, the big one, installing water-efficient indoor and outdoor fixtures, and ensuring efficient irrigation systems. Obviously, a lot of the hotels like to have, a green environment, but we want to make sure that they're watering that environment very efficiently. And then to install water-efficient HVA systems. So these are all things that commercial establishments can do to make the most efficient use of water. Next slide. And so our objective, of course, is everyone complies and everyone understands, but we do have penalties for those who don't, especially those who are particularly egregious. And, there's provisions in the ordinance about how that we give information to those who are in violation, and they can appeal their decision to the Board of Water Supply. Fines can be as much as $1,000 per day if the violation is not corrected. We also, in the ordinance, would have the option of shutting off their water and even removing their meter if they really just refuse to comply and it's particularly egregious. Again, it would not be our intention to use that very often, but it is it is an important tool to have to make sure that people know that this is serious. And then the director is supposed to report to the council on actions taken regarding shortages and restrictions. Next slide. You can skip this one. Next slide. Now, in terms of some of the statistics on our water conservation goals, this is the water use. It's in gallons per person per day. And you can see, way to go, Molokai. You're at 114. You're doing a great job over there. And then the other ones are around the 200, 221 in Lahaina, 198 upcountry, 291 in Central. I would note that in Central, there is a pretty big difference between the Central area and South Maui. South Maui uses quite a bit more water in terms of gallons per person per day than Central Maui. Next slide. So then we've looked at each of these areas about what could be, how much water could we save by these implementing these conservation actions throughout the county, and it's a lot. We estimate, if we were using approximately 40 million gallons a day, we estimate we could potentially save as much as 10 million gallons a day over the next 20, 30 years. And it cost us to develop 1 million gallons. We currently use 40 million gallons a day. It cost us, the last million gallons per day we developed cost almost $20 million. So if you save 10 million gallons a day, that's $200 million that would be saving. So we're talking about really significant financial savings to the department and the county if we can implement water. Now, we don't count on the water being saved until it's actually saved, right? Because that would not be good policy. So, yeah. but when we see it saved, then we can take advantage of that. Next slide. And then what do we do to help customers? What do we do in terms of outreach? Well, we're restarting the toilet replacement program, which they were doing years ago and it has been stopped, but we're going to get that going again. We do the high efficiency fixture giveaways. So if you want a more efficient shower fixture, come see us. We're going to restart the rain barrel program, which is very popular. And we do a lot of water conservation advertising to get the word out, and have a lot of resources online. We also do public outreach events, which are very popular. And we have our annual poster and video contest, which is one of the favorite days of the year, when we get to see all the great creativity that our kids have in terms of putting together their posters and videos. And then we're now starting the process of engaging with hotels and resorts and condominium associations to help them understand what the best practice is in terms of water conservation. We've just selected a consultant to help us with this, and we're kicking that off. We're all just so you know, we're not only doing it in the county system, we're also inviting the hotels that are served by private water companies to participate. We figure if they all get together, maybe we'll get a little peer pressure going, get them, encourage them to really be efficient in how they use their water. Next slide. Other initiatives, we do an annual water audit to kind of make sure we understand where we are in terms of kind of on the supply side. We also have leak detection. We're actually looking at something kind of interesting, which is water meters that provide information on leaks in the area of that water meter. It's kind of a cutting edge technology. So that's kind of an exciting one that we're looking at that might help us to identify where there are leaks in the private, both on the public system and on the private side. We've, installing in smart meters. Smart meters are very effective in achieving water conservation. Another job I had years ago, we compared a subdivision that had smart meters with one that didn't. The one that had smart meters, which is a very similar subdivision, had 15% less water use. So the smart meters, basically, people can understand how much water they're using, and they also find out when they have leaks. We're also doing gray water pilot programs. We're doing it in a couple of parks. And then we're looking at increasing supply side efficiency and replacing older under-registering water meters. I would also mention that one of the big things we do that kind of is outside of the realm of this ordinance is our water tiers. The fact that we have tiered water structure is very effective. As you probably have noticed, each year that I've been here, we've been increasing the tiers, meaning you pay even more as you use more water. Stay tuned for the budget. I'll be proposing more of that this next year, that we increase the higher, the fees for the highest water users. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Stuffelbein and Mrs. Moonstein. Before we begin our discussion, let's see if anyone would like to provide testimony for Y18. Staff?
Chair, we currently have 2 individuals signed up to testify.
Okay. Anyone wanting to testify, please sign up in the lobby, join the online meeting, or call in the phone number noted on today's agenda. For online testifiers, please click the raise your hand button. For those calling in, please follow the prompts via phone *5 to raise and lower your hand, *6 to mute and unmute. Please ensure your name on Microsoft Teams appears as the name you prefer to be referred to, or as anonymous if you wish to testify anonymously. If you are in person, please notify the staff you'd like to testify anonymously. Otherwise, please state your name for the record at the beginning of your testimony. Written testimony will continue to be accepted and can be submitted via e-comment at mauicounty.us/agendas. Staff will enable your microphone and video when it's your turn to testify. Oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes per item. If you are still testifying beyond that time, I will kindly ask you to complete your testimony. You can view the meeting on Akaku Channel 53, Facebook Live, or mauicounty.us/agendas. Decorum must be maintained throughout this meeting. Breaching decorum includes anything that disrupts the orderly management of the meeting. Violation of decorum may result in being removed from the meeting. At this time, I'd like to open public testimony for Y18. Staff, please call the first testifier.
Thank you, Chair. The first individual signed up to testify is His Highness Ka'ua, to be followed by JC Law.
I'm Highness Ka'ua, representative for Kingdom Hawaii Government, Sub-Nation of God, Kingdom title holder, true title holder. Yes, you're here for a reason of what you guys say, water. We're going beyond that step. Water, as all this time for this 1893 to now, been nothing but gains been paid to us people. Therefore, we're taking more steps in that, the biggest step ever. We're placing charges against the United States that they are, that goes beyond what they put down as war crimes. And this is a fact. As a representative known as attorney, as so, we have all the evidence that prove to what is unrighteously done to our people. And the greatest part about being our people is that I'm a grown man to know who I am as a pureness, not a percentage of 1% or 100%. I have a pure blood of mine. I'm pure-blooded European, which they have a racist part of it, being white-skinned. I'm Michigan, pure-blooded Michigan, white skin. Races again, they go to our white eye, to our Chinese, Japanese, and slant eyes and all that facts they call our people. Well, I catch all that spaces. One thing I do have in my family, I'm known as a Popolo black guy. You call a queen a black savage in their own papers. That's not gonna be done no more. It was unrighteously done to our people, which adds up to today. Which there will be more, of course. The water has a big thing for all us people here of all nationalities, which I am and they are. We're not gonna be put into a place of being put, on pot, half, 25%, and so forth. I'm not 0.001, I'm not 100%, I'm pure-blooded in what I got, and so do they.
So, sir, thank you.
The water.
How do you feel about this particular bill, the water conservation
Well, that's the
measures?
part I'm going to be talking about. The water is not just what it here is. It's the entire Maui. Because I'm a Iolani Palace representative Maui, and it adds to, of course, more, which I can be swimming in the kingdom, all the way to Rapa Nui and Midway. It's our borders, not yours. It is and will come to its point. And his point is the best point and time, not man's time that you guys get it, you have there now.
Thank you, sir. Can you wrap it up?
I'm not gonna wrap up nothing till I finish.
No, but you have the 3 minutes, sir. That's our rule.
So, the point is, there's nobody else here, but I'm here as representative for the Kingdom of Government, known as attorney, and therefore I put you into the space of it. Like I walked into each courtroom, to each judge, they know you don't want to go there. The point is, we're here for today, as much as we can, and I'll be out here and get things done.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony.
No, I'm not finished yet. That's what they said from before and so forth all to now. But I'm here now and this is what we got.
But
The point is,
sir, we do have a presentation and et cetera, and you're more than welcome to listen, and thank you for your comments.
okay, the water.
Members, do you have any clarifying questions for our testifier?
Therefore, on this day today, the charges we putting down on the United States serpents that they are,
Thank you, sir.
the state of Hawaii, the county of what it is you're representing of, we put it charges on them, which
Chair,
depending. that
may
you
staff
guys-
request a quick recess?
Yeah,
2-minute recess?
3-minute recess, please.
I want everybody's name here because this is not going to be the same way as it was on.
Welcome back, members. 9:38, we'll reconvene our meeting. Staff, our next testifier.
Thank you, Chair. The next testifier is J.C. Law, to be followed by Kai Nishiki on Teams.
Aloha, ka'aha o kikalana. And thank you for the, whoever translated this into Olelo Hawaiian. I really appreciate it. Aloha kakahiaka, aloha po akolu, aloha kako, aloha akaku. Hawaiian word of the day is, this is a pretty easy one, Kahu Cook. When you talk about water, let me try this one in Olelo Hawaiian. Pila 158. E pila ana I ka maluo vai a me ka ho'o maluo ana I ka vai I nā va po kole vai. Water conservation and control of water during water shortages. That's when I first got here to Hawaii, the first thing I did was ride around and try to check out all the, where's the water coming from up country. And yeah, I heard about the pigs and the contamination in the water and stuff. Oh, the Hawaiian word of the day, a lot of people know this word it's actually a big word in Hawaiian, and very interesting that they put the vai in the end of it, is kana vai, and the first two A's have the macron over the top. It means law, code, rule, statute, act, regulation, ordinance, decree, edict, legal, to obey a law, to be prohibited, or to learn from experience.
So thank you, Mr. Law. Are you addressing this particular bill that
Yeah, it was just
your
the
testimony
Hawaiian
on
word of
that
the day
and
part.
your-
Yeah. I know it's going to be I'm stick around. I'm not just going to talk it and leave. This is going to be very important. And thank you all for working for the county, all the Nā Limahana. Next year is the year of the fire horse. And Queen Lilokalani didn't get a chance to see one of these years. She saw 1906, but she was still queen. And then next year is the year of the fire horse. It's going to be some social justice going on. And it's also going to be very, very hot.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, do we have any clarifying questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you very much. Staff, please call the next testifier.
Thank you, Chair. The next testifier is Kai Nishiki, to be followed by Casey Lamb.
Aloha Chair, committee members, Kai Nishiki, testifying on the water conservation bill. I really feel, I'm so glad that this is finally being heard in this committee, as for far too long, Maui County's leadership, particularly in the areas of water and housing policies, have deferred, delayed, and sidestepped critical decisions, allowing systemic inequalities to persist. The result, an ongoing housing crisis worsened by water management policies that fail to reflect our community's true needs. In recent testimony at the Commission on Water Resource Management, there was overwhelming support for the county to assume control over West Maui's water resources, which majority are controlled by private water companies. But the truth is, changing who manages the water will not solve the problem unless we change how and for whom water is managed. We must prioritize water and have the county establish a hierarchy of water uses so that when we enact bills like this that conserve water, and you see in West Maui, it could be almost 2 million gallons of water, which could be prioritized to build, with 2 million gallons of water, you could build 4,000 safe, new, pet-friendly, safe outside of hazard zones housing for West Maui. And that can happen very quickly. There are projects that are entitled and ready to go, and you could produce a couple thousand units in less than 5 years. So please prioritize water through conservation for affordable housing through a policy. And when the conservation is realized, then it also must then be allocated for a use that the community values. Otherwise, these water savings can then be continued to be manipulated through, special water math or political games that are often played with projects and water. And also, I would also like to bring up that there should be an amendment to the plumbing code that allows R1 water for toilet flushing in multifamily commercial and public facilities. Please update the county water system standards. Current standards fail to reflect actual water use. And most importantly, establish a hierarchy of water use priorities and enforce it. So we look forward to your work today and really understanding that the key to unlocking housing for our people is through water. And so this work that you folks can take on today is very important. And water conservation enforcement could yield thousands of housing units. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, clarifying questions for our testifier?
Happy holidays.
Seeing none?
I had a clarifying question on.
Okay, Member Paulton has a question for you, Ms. Nishiki.
Thank you. On the hierarchy of priority, I think you were saying, is it your understanding that Hawaiian Homes has a higher priority?
Yes, I think along with traditional and customary practices. So I think that the county should recognize that when they are allocating our water resources.
Thank you.
Members, any other clarifying questions? Member Rollins Fernandez.
Chair. Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Ms. Nishiki. Mahalo for your testimony. Happy holidays. So in your testimony, you cited R2 water for flushing toilets. Member Johnson may know this. In Japan, they have hand washing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Can you hear me?
We lost you, Member Rollins Fernandez.
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, great.
Yes, we can hear
We
you.
can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? It's a good thing okay, well, I'm trying to get my video back on. I was getting a call. That's what happens when you join on the phone. Okay, anyways, since you can hear me. Oh, there, okay. Mahalo for everyone's patience. Okay. Hand washing over the tank. And we heard Director Stufflebean say that they're going to be doing the program with toilets that can, like low flushing toilets, or I can't remember what it's called. But hand washing into the toilet tank is one way Japan does conservation, and it's far less costly than piping or doing new pipes from R2 into the tank. And the question about whether DOH would approve all that just because the lines may cross. Okay, anyway, is that something that go along with what you were saying in your testimony about reuse, water reuse into toilet flushing?
Oh, absolutely. I did actually see that when I visited Japan, and very exciting. But I do think especially for Lahaina in the rebuild, it's a great opportunity to put in that infrastructure while we have that clean slate, and then also for new multifamily. And there's a lot of development happening. And I just think that it's important to put in that infrastructure that enables us to build more resiliently and smarter with everything that we have at our disposal. So yes, there are things that we need to invest in and make changes to, but great opportunity. And I'm just thrilled that after all of these years that R1 and recycled water in general is seen as an asset and not something to just inject and kill our reefs. So mahalo.
Mahalo for that clarification. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, members. Any other clarifying questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you very much. Staff?
Thank you, Chair. The next testifier is Casey Lamb, to be followed by David Good on Teams.
Good morning, council members. My name is Casey Lamb, testifying on behalf of myself as a resident of Kula and my learnings in my role with Lead Core Maui as a community builder. I'm in support of this water conservation bill, and I wanted to give a few specific examples of what Director Stuffelbein had presented on. We are designing our communities to ensure water conservation is inherent in the design from the start rather than being retroactive. We're focusing on 4 aspects: designing for LEED for homes, LEED for sites, designing landscaping with majority of native canoe plants that are drought and salt tolerant, and low impact development techniques. LEED, which I believe was in a previous version of the bill, I think is crucial just inherently of what's required in its prerequisites. LEED for homes is the most recognized green building rating system and is standard for environmentally sound building, site design, construction, operations, and maintenance. We are striving for LEED Silver for all of our homes. Inherent in the prerequisites is to reduce total water consumption by 20%. And based on our research, indoor water consumption can be reduced by more than 40% compared to the county average, just through low flow fixtures and Energy Star appliances, utilizing smart water meters within homes with leak detection, especially important if people are on vacation or not visiting. Water can get shut off when people are not home. We are also looking to LEED for sites, which I believe is relatively new. I think only one property in all of the state of Hawaii is certified over on Oahu. It's a comprehensive rating system that focuses on sustainable design, construction, and maintenance of landscapes, providing a framework for creating healthy and resilient environmentally responsible landscapes, integrating best practices in water, soil, vegetation, materials, and human well-being. So that includes smart irrigation systems for landscaping, such as Smart Rain, that monitors local evapotranspiration rates to prevent overwatering, detecting big leaks that are tracked by zones. An older system, these leaks are not caught until the next watering cycle. Conservatively, these can save between 25 to 30%, with some cases going all the way up to 37%. In sites, you also score points for focusing on reduced water outdoor use, managing precipitation to promote groundwater recharge, designing functional stormwater features, and restoring aquatic ecosystems. Sites also comes with an educational and performance monitoring to ensure that properties continue functioning at a high level. Next is in our landscaping. We're designing our projects with majority of native canoe landscaping that thrive in drier environments with drought and salt tolerance. This bill comes at a good time as we are now challenging our landscape architects to ensure all plants we are considering can thrive during a 3 times per week water schedule, and also ensuring that a great majority of our plants can also endure stage 1 water shortages as well. Through our time touring Waikoloa Dry Forest, over on Big Island, we have also learned many drought-tolerant plants and native plants can function off to little or no irrigation. So we are also looking into incorporating areas of native plant restoration on our sites, requiring no irrigation after being established. And last, low-impact design, or LID. We're looking to incorporate bioretention systems designed to collect stormwater, filter pollutants, and infiltrate into the ground, otherwise known as rain gardens, reducing the need for landscape irrigation once established.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And Member Paulton has a question, and then Member Sugimura.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lam. I just wanted to clarify, were you saying that there's a sites program that's separate from the LEAD program? And how do you spell that, sites?
So yeah, lead sites, SITES. It is kind of, there's overlap, but it is separate from Lead for Homes. We're working with VCA Green, who's done a lot of work here in Hawaii as well in California. And we're learning about that as well. And I do have some written testimony and kind of some speaking points that they put together for us that I can submit that kind of gives a summary of everything that's incorporated in lead sites.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Staff, would he submit that to the committee?
Yes, if it hasn't been submitted already, it can be sent to the committee email. That's y.committee@mauicounty.us.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lam. Member Sugimura?
Thank you. Actually was going to ask more about this lead sites also, so it's kind of scary if Tamara and I start thinking alike. Just kidding. That's what I was going to ask. So thank you. I look forward to learning more. I'm amazed with all that Lead Korea you're working with has done. So thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other further clarifying questions for the testifier? Do we have anybody online?
Chair, doesn't look like there's any further clarifying questions for the testifier. So at this stage, we can move on to the next testifier, which would be David Good, to be followed by Brendan Kennedy.
Interesting.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Can you folks hear me okay? Sounds like it. David Good here, upcountry resident, and also on behalf of Leadcore Maui, where I work with Casey. So my comments are on Bill 158 CD Draft 1, which I actually just saw today, so I didn't realize there had been another draft. It certainly looks better than the original bill. This is a really good bill. It's long overdue. Kudos to DWS, Director Stuffelbein, and the Planning Division for bringing it forward, and Councilmember Cook for scheduling and discussing. I still think there's some work to do on the bill that I'd like to suggest, so I have a few bullet points to talk about. One, I think Casey alluded to a little bit, is adding a requirement for multifamily and commercial properties to have their own water use monitoring devices for the individual units or lessees. This is no different than DWS's Eye on Water app, which I personally use for our home, but for properties with multiple units. We installed these devices at our recently completed multifamily project, La'iloa, and each owner there has real-time access to their in-unit use. And then the HOA has access to all the units' usage and the outdoor uses. This drives a conservation mindset and delivers results. We're very impressed with how the water use has been so low. We will undoubtedly continue to use these monitoring devices in our future projects with or without this bill, but it is something that I think the bill should consider. I think the bill should also consider adding single-family home uses on lots greater than a half acre for the requirements that are in subsections 120 and 130. This is regarding having water-efficient landscapes and watering systems. These larger lots have the most irrigated area per person and can be some of the larger water users in the county on a per square foot basis. So right now, subsections 120, 130 only deal with multifamily and commercial, but my suggestion is add single family on the larger lots over a half acre. You may want to consider the smaller ag lots as well. There's a provision, a section to change Title 18 subdivisions in the application process. I'm not sure why this is needed. Title 18, when you submit a subdivision, it's very general. We're simply creating property lines. The proposed revisions would have asked for details on irrigation systems. That's clearly something that's done later in the process. It's not done as part of a subdivision map. So I think this section should be deleted. The definition of water efficient talks about xeriscaping with native. It should say, I think, native and canoe plants. In subsection 20, when it talks about the various plans, I think it should add as may be updated, because plans change over time and then you don't have a stale ordinance on your hands. And I have a few more which I could discuss, but that's my 3 minutes, it sounds like.
Thank you, Mr. Good. And we have clarifying questions from the members. Member Sugimura?
I wonder first if you could submit what you wrote in written testimony, if you could send it to us. The section that you are recommending to be deleted, can you say what section that is again? I didn't write that down.
It's a section in the bill regarding Title 18.
Okay,
Maybe near the end.
We can find it.
Right. Yeah, there's a section on 18 related to private parks, and section 5 related to 18.08080, explanatory information.
Okay, thank you. So I hope staff got that. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
I see the director nodding his head. Is that complete your question?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and then Member Hodgins?
Thank you, Chair. Member Sugimura asked my question. Thanks.
Member Paulton, clarifying questions for our testifier?
Thank you. I just had a couple. Those individual monitoring use mechanisms that you were speaking about, what is the cost per unit, and how much did that add to the cost of your development?
That's a great question, and I don't know the exact cost, but when done with new construction, it's pretty straightforward, right? Because individual water lines going into a unit, you can install the devices. Casey's telling me how much they were. How much?
$50,000 for the landscaping, a couple hundred.
Yeah, so a couple $100 per unit, and then on the outdoor landscaping, it was a lot more expensive. I think it was around $50,000 for a larger property.
And what are they
But for
called?
individual units,
Just
it's cheap.
individual monitoring units?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like sub-metering, right? So if you have, do you have a main meter outside? So this is, monitored by the HOA and the individual owners. That way they can see what's going on in their unit, or if they have a leak. So it's extremely handy.
Thank you. And then my other question was when you wanted to add not only multifamily and whatnot, but single family lots greater than half acre, and then you were saying smaller ag lots. Are we considering substandard ag lots or 2 acres or less? Like what is your definition of smaller ag lots?
That's not a really good question. I would say, if I had to guess, I'd say less than 5 acres. Thinking about most ag lots, you need an ag farming plan. That requires like at least half of the property to be in farming. That means the other half is not. And I'm thinking about those areas that are not in farming or ag. And that's a lot of area. So
you're saying
seems to me they should be.
That you're saying that ag lots 5 acres or less on the non-agricultural portion?
Right. Yeah, that would make sense to me.
And the part about native and canoe plants, you don't know what section that was, do you?
That was in the definition section, so it's I thought the opening section.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Members, any clarifying questions for our testifier? Yes, Mr. Rowe.
If I may, I believe he was referring to the definition of water efficient on item 6 or subparagraph 6. Under the definition of water efficient, it refers to xeriscaping with native plants or water efficient plants.
Mr. Good?
Yeah, that's correct. And I had a few more if you can indulge me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
on a
getting
roll.
nods. The members, you're in agreement that, okay,
Are we still in public
Okay.
testimony?
Yes.
yes.
Oh, okay, then I think that if you wanted to make him a resource, that would be more appropriate so that we can finish public testimony and close. Yeah?
Can I request that we make him a resource under Rule 18?
Members, are you in agreement? Yes,
he has
I'm
time,
getting unanimous
sure.
agreement. Mr. Good, are you available to be a resource? We'll complete our public testimony if you'll stand by.
Sure, can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff?
Thank you, Chair. The next individual signed up to testify is Brendan Kennedy, to be followed by Jim Langford.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. I didn't plan on testifying, but when we started talking about recycled water, my ears perked up quite a bit. I'm testifying on my own behalf at this point, just on a little bit of the history of using recycled water, specifically in Kihei from the Kihei wastewater treatment plant. Everyone at wastewater is very helpful, and we currently are installing recycled water on several projects in the tech park in Kihei, which is now kind of rebranded as Lapoa. So that is a huge, drastic drop in water, especially for commercial and multifamily properties. We have a 20,000 square foot office building. I know that I think pulls less water than my own home sometimes just based on irrigation. So it's like 200 gallons a day or 300 gallons a day or something. It is drastically much lower, as I'm sure you guys are aware. The use of recycled water in Kihei, I think is the best opportunity at recycled water, at water conservation. I think the items in this bill are welcome. I think a lot of them are already happening on new commercial properties, on new commercial and multifamily developments. One thing I would just advocate for is recycled water is not permitted for use in single family homes in new developments. So you will have a recycled water system in the street that will distribute water to that 3-foot landscaping strip, but then the homeowner is now using their potable water in their potable meter. The DOH rules cite that they don't explicitly bar single family recycled water use, but they do cite that there needs to be a recycled water manager. So it would be not directly a part of this bill, but something to consider and keep in mind as a support for a DOH or wastewater rule change. If a recycled water manager could be in place through the HOA, there may be an opportunity to allow R1 use for drip irrigation in single family homes. I think as long as you have a specific manager and that Department of Health and wastewater are not chasing down 8 million homeowners, I think it's a great opportunity to continue to lower potable water use in single family homes and then overall. I know there's significant investments in the R1 infrastructure within Kihei, and I would really support the expansion of that use on kind of new developments, and then allowing and getting R1 infrastructure installed and new R1 meters distributed to commercial and multifamily homes. Other than that, I don't have any specific comments on the legislation. I do support it, and I think a lot of it is kind of already happening just with natural market forces. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Members, clarifying questions for the testifier. Member Sugimura?
Thank you very much for deciding to testify. I was just wondering, you're talking about, did you say a R1 app? Which is that available?
Right now, there's a pretty good sophisticated R1 system in Kihei that goes a little bit north and quite a bit south. It's close to being a loop. It feeds the new high school and feeds several commercial properties and makes it down to, I believe, the Kamaole 1 Park. It's as far south as it goes. But then the commercial buildings, I'll use Lapoa or the Tech Park as an example, is all R1 irrigation and has just super low potable water use.
Fantastic. Oh,
Sorry, is
I
that
think
your
you said
question?
park. I thought you said app. There was a HOAs can use R1 water. Oh, sorry. I thought you said,
Oh,
I
application,
misunderstood
sorry.
what you said. So thank you for, oh, congratulations, the Lepore project. That's really great to hear. Thank you.
Members, any other clarifying questions for our testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Staff?
Thank you, Chair. The last individual signed up to testify is Jim Langford.
Aloha. I had to put my hair back so I don't distract. Thank you all for what a wonderful day of new ideas and discussing water and all the different solutions that can be applied. I've been running risk analysis models on everything that's been testified about, recycled water, plow drip as well too, building 3D printed cement basins as 12 cents on the dollar solution. Tom can explain that these printing those basins is like 9,000 PSI concrete, and the Kealani is built at 3,000. So if you can get 12 cents on the dollar, catch water that runs on the hill. So anyway, let me stay on point, is introducing atmospheric water generation to solve long-term water solutions is an expensive but way to do it by the numbers that are used in desert areas like Las Vegas, where the humidity is low. But we have an opportunity here to suggest, like, oh, in the new H3 and H4 zoning that's going to happen, we can say, attached to that, we would like you to produce your own water with these systems to offset the conversation in a technical, solvable way rather than an emotional way. We've made it past the emotional part of solving the problem respectfully. We've honored the spirit of the people's wishes. Now, can we go forward in a technical way that combines expensive water generation like AWS, where it's a big dehumidifier in a shipping container, solar powered. So I've posted some information on Facebook on cost breakdowns, risk analysis on this thread today. If you folks need it in a different way, please have someone reach out and I'll prepare a report for you and email it as needed. So these are things that we can do to offset the push of where are we going to get the water for new construction? Well, we'll make it on the roof and stop. So I love you guys. If you need me, I can speak to that ad nauseum. I have a few years of research at a PhD level on this topic. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lanford, for your testimony. Members, do we have any clarifying questions for our testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Staff?
Yes, sir.
So, Chair, that's all the individuals signed up to testify. If anyone in the audience or in Teams would like to testify, please come up to the mic and begin your testimony, or use the raise your hand function on Teams and staff will unmute you. Here's a brief countdown. 3, 2, 1. Seeing none, Chair, no one has indicated that they wish to testify.
Members, seeing that there are no individuals wishing to testify without objection, I will now close oral testimony. Thank you.
No objections.
As a reminder, written testimony will continue to be accepted into the record. Members, I'm proposing 2 rounds of 3-minute questions per member. Any objections? Okay. Thank you, members. Let's begin discussion. Councilmember Sugimura.
Thank you. This is fabulous. A great way to end the year, really. I look forward to passing this. I also look forward to knowing if you will be making more amendments based upon what the testifiers said. I'm sure that, later on in the meeting or whatever you want to do, but I'm glad to hear that we are working with the hotels because we constantly hearing about how they waste water and whatever. So I'm glad that you're in a conservation for not only us, but a greater community. I'm grateful for that. I'm thrilled to hear what LEDCOR is doing. So are you all working with them with their project? That sounds like an example of good policy in action.
We have had some conversation with them. We'd be glad to, continue those and enhance them too, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess we were, oh, did you want to say something?
No, we just really appreciate the input from LEDCOR, and I agree that, they're really putting some really good examples of what can be done.
Yeah. And I would love to see further the last testifier talking about helping the HOAs so that they understand, water conservation for their buildings or their, subdivision, because I think they operate privately and we don't necessarily get to hear from them. They may work with you all the time, I'm not sure, but it would be good to also firm that relationship up. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, it's really just staffing that prevents us from going out more and engaging with, landscapers, homeowner associations and whatnot. But we do need to do that more now if this bill is passed, as the education and kind of clarifying efforts. So we're going to have somehow find time to really bring that up a notch.
Fabulous. And I want to tell you as a Kula resident that I have not been using my sprinklers for years. I think after we moved in, we realized that drought season is every summer. All my plants and grass doesn't look like when we bought the house. But we do our own conservation in a Kula way. Drought works. That's all. I'm thrilled to see what amendments and if we can pass this bill.
Member Johnson, you have some questions for the department?
Sure. I think I might have longer than 3 minutes, but first question is for you, Chair. Do you plan to pass this bill today, or is that your intention?
Yes, I would like to. I think that we can make some amendments to it as far as the recommendations. I trust that the department can and will take to heart these issues and assist us in that. But yeah, I would like to pass this today. And just sort of clarification.
Okay, thanks.
This has been delayed. I wanted to bring this much earlier, but because of all of the changing schedules of all of the different bills and whatnot, but it was really important to have it this year. So I'm happy to be doing this today. And yes, I would like to pass it.
Thanks for that. I'm going to jump into my questions for Director Stufflebean in regards to his two slides on pool covers. Director, on one slide it said like you wanted to require pool covers, and then the other one was to encourage. I personally would like to tighten up the language to make them, our folks have pool covers especially during the day when they're not in use. But I'd like to hear your opinions on strengthening that language on pool covers, Director.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I mean, in an ideal world, I would say everybody should have a pool covered tomorrow. But we realize that there's a lot of people and it would be hard for them to have that quickly. So, we started with, a pool that is not used for 30 days or someone that's a vacant house. Going beyond that, I think that's a great idea. We would have to think about kind of the timing of that and give people a chance, because there's a lot of pools that would need to acquire pool covers. Certainly would support requiring pool covers for any new construction, and then maybe some kind of a schedule for existing homes.
Okay, I'm on limited time. So Corporation Counsel, how about some language, if I could just read this off on the record for you, and maybe you can get back to me in the second round, but basically in 14.06, B as in Bravo, .150, pool covers, or Section A, pool covers must, that's the insert language, must be used to limit evaporation from swimming pools. And then 2, for swimming pools when not in use during the day would be the language I would put in. But I'd like to hear maybe Corporation Council's opinion on, can we strengthen this language a little bit more, and what do you guys recommend? But if we have time, they can discuss it. Otherwise, I'll always take around. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, what was the second point that you made? I missed that.
Sure. In part 2, it says for private swimming pools when not in use, and the new language would be underlined during the day. That's in 14.06 B as in Bravo, 0.150.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with adding that. I would just like to mention that this is applying to only clients of the water department, right? So we can put those restrictions on that. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay.
May I add to that? Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the provision there under 14.6B 151, I don't know, I don't really want to speak for Department of Parks and Recreation, but we have that contingency in there, you know, if it's possible that it would add for public safety, but in some cases it may be an issue to have pool covers at certain public pools. So before adding a requirement for parks, we may want to consult with them or leave it as so that option is still there.
Member Johnson, would ponder this and bring it up in your second round.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Chair.
Member Paulton.
Point of information on his, just to try and understand the discussion, did he want to remove private? Because parks pools are not private, right? They're public pools.
I personally would kind of leave the option open for parks. How many pools do we have? Under 10, I could be wrong, but I'd leave it open. I don't want to make it too hard for the departments, but whatever the body decides, I kind of feel like leaving it open, but.
Okay. I didn't follow the entirety of that conversation, but my first question for the department is on slide 6, I believe, of the PowerPoint presentation where it says general public and Hawaiian homeland water use equity. If that is your water conservation policy, I'm not sure, because I thought that Hawaiian homes have legally protected rights to water rooted in the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act and state constitution. So just wanted to clarify what you meant by equity. There's the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act of 1921 and the state law like HRS 174C-101 recognize significant water rights for the Hawaiian Homes Commission Trust. It's like right up there with traditional and customary uses, which is above, right? So I mean, what did you mean by equity, not the same?
Department.
Right. Well, I guess I may ask the attorney to opine on that, but you know, I guess the idea would be that as we're looking at our water use, that we give full consideration to the requirements of the Constitution in terms of respecting the Hawaiian homeland's usage and the public trust uses. That was the intent of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Not seeing that they're the same level.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Anything, Caleb?
Just wanted to clarify that.
Just add that I believe that we even put that in somewhere that the Department of Hawaiian Homeland's use is a recognized, the reservation system is a recognized public trust use. And I think we put that elsewhere. So I didn't put together a slideshow, but we have it in the legislation that's recognized.
Okay, good. And then the other question I had was, the shortage and conservation plan, like this would kind of, it aligns with it and it would be considered like a conservation policy. And my understanding is in special management areas like West Maui, which has a ground and surface water special management area designation, the CWRM can create a shortage plan for the entirety of the water aquifer sector area. And if they decided to say, you know, we didn't come up with no shortage plan, let's just use the County of Maui's one as the shortage plan for the Lahaina aquifer sector area. Is that a possibility if CWRM designates this bill or your conservation policy and shortage plan to be the overall shortage plan, like at least to start with, because you got something in writing and it's legal for the entire Lahaina aquifer sector area?
Department.
Chair, thank you. Thank you for that question. Well, first we have, or the Water Commission has consulted with us in starting to develop their water shortage plan. So ours that was completed last year was, you know, the intentions were multiple, but one of them was, of course, to have a shortage plan in place for Lahaina because it's a designated area. So in the absence of a commission-approved plan, they could refer to ours, but I don't know what the status of theirs is, but once and if one would be adopted, it would supersede. I think we make a note of that too, especially looking at the agriculture exemption we have, that's not a public trust use. You know, we would expect that theirs would be a little more stringent in that respect.
Okay, no complaints from me, thank you.
Chair Lee, questions? You're muted.
Sorry, Chair, I thought you heard me. I have no questions, only because I have to leave for another meeting in about 1 minute.
Okay.
But thank you, I appreciate the, we have been supporting, you know, having a conservation bill passed this year for almost 1 year now. So I'm glad it's here. And I'm very happy to see the work that has gone into it, but I am concerned a little bit about enforcement because, you know, we have so many vacancies that really has to be addressed. And I was going to have some questions on the smart meters, which were started years ago. And it's really not a new project, nor is the loop in South Maui. That was started in like 2020. You know, under Eric Nakagawa. So I'm glad to see that there's progress, and I wish I could stay longer, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Member Rollins Fernandez, you have clarifying, not clear, do you have any questions for the department? Discussion.
Hello, Chair. I do. Okay, I'm also in my office, and I have my staff, Mahia Bright Wilhelm, with me on this side of the office. Okay, so I maybe I'll just if you want to go before me, Chair, and then I'll take my turn.
Member Hodges.
Thank you, Chair. If Mr. Good is still on, if you could please continue for my opportunity, thank you.
Aloha, can you folks hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair and Member Hodgins. So let's see where I left off. We talked about in 020 that the various plans, we should add the phrase "as may be updated" so the ordinance doesn't go stale as time goes on. In section 060A, 1, 2, and 3, these are the shortages, the 10%, 20%, and 30% reductions. It doesn't specify what the baseline is. So it's 10% of what? Or 20% of what? You know, for years upcountry, as an upcountry resident for 30-plus years. This always came up during previous shortages. What are we looking at, the last 12 months prior, an average? How does that work? This may refer back to the rules. There's rulemaking authority here for the department. I think rules are going to be needed. So maybe this is certainly a question for the department. So we need to know what we're reducing from. Another minor kind of mini thing is the word use excessively windy days. This is in subsection 90B5. To stop spray irrigation. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know what excessively windy days are. So that needs some definition, I think. In subsection 070, talks about publication in the Maui News on a weekly basis. What if the Maui News goes to less than weekly? This exact issue was before the Planning Commission, I think, recently, because they had some publishing requirements that were no longer doable because the Maui News only publishes once a week now. What if it goes to once every 2 weeks? That needs to be thought through, I think. And I'm glad to hear they're talking about pool covers. We're going to install pool covers on all new pools going forward for our projects, lead core projects. But if I'm not a pool owner, but my neighbor's got a pool, it was not designed for a cover. I don't know how he puts one in. There'll be times when he's not using it for more than 30 days. I'm sure he'd like to, or others would like to. If it's not designed for a pool cover, can it be done? So I guess I'd like to hear from the pool companies, the people that do this, and maybe the departments talk to them. So that's what I had. So thanks, Member Hodgins and Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any further questions?
Sure. I guess Mr. Rowe, did you have something you wanted
Chair,
to
if I really could just interject a little bit. We refer to in a newspaper of general circulation, and the way that our department has interpreted that includes the Honolulu Star Advertiser because they are in general circulation in the county of Maui. So even in the case that the Maui News, whatever happens with them, we would still be covered with that. And that's how we've kind of been interpreting things going forward. Yeah. Just wanted to make that clear.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask the question about the baseline shortages of 060, right? The paragraph right above that. How do we establish a baseline? What is your guys' method there?
Department.
Sure, and I would add that this section didn't change. This is already in the existing code, but Eva can talk about how we do that.
Yeah, so there is the change in the current code, the water shortage is declared if the demand is projected to exceed certain percent, right? So we don't really define the baseline in the current code, but de facto what we use is current production, and we haven't set a very descriptive language in how we project the shortage to occur. I mean, there's multiple triggers in the water shortage plan, and then there's circumstances where we can and cannot apply them. So I would say, we're looking at current production, looking back and trying to project forward. What we're trying just to define, and honestly, I don't know, and I don't think Director know either, what that the original stage percentage points came from. There was nothing scientific about it. So this is more just focusing in on what we need demand to land in relation to current production, current demand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. And Member Rollins Fernandez, we'll go back to you. And
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo.
Welcome on the floor.
Mahalo, happy to be here on the floor. And mahalo for that flexibility and letting me come out to the floor and save my questions until I got here. Okay. Let me turn this down real fast. Okay. I may have missed this. And aloha department, mahalo for being with us. And mahalo for this work on water conservation is so important. And as you've heard, it's important to us as well, and there's no shortage of ideas on how we can try to promote water conservation. So I wanted to quickly clarify on the discussion, the questions that Member Polton was asking Mr. Good about the meters that LEDCorp installed on their development. Is that different than the smart meters that the department has been installing? And was that already clarified? I'm sorry if I missed that.
Department.
Sure. Yeah. So I think he was talking about sub-metering, which means meters.
using
So we know, we have a meter at the property line.
Got
And then
it.
if there's a
Okay.
number of, right, and just, I mean, we would strongly support additional sub-metering. There are some places now that are requiring it around the country. It is expensive to retrofit sub-metering, so we have to keep that in
And the
consideration.
sub-metering is for the landscaping.
No, sub-metering would be like each individual home,
per unit.
within a condominium association or apartment gets their
Yeah.
own meter. So they can
Right.
find out exactly how much water they're using, which is very effective in water conservation. But again, to retrofit is expensive.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about that
Yeah,
before.
right.
Okay, because we already do smart metering and we're like slowly rolling out that. How is there any updates on that that you
Right,
want to
so,
share
yeah,
now?
that project started as Chair Lee mentioned several years ago.
Yeah.
And we are continuing to install more and more smart meters as the budget and the staffing and so on allows. So our intention is to have everybody's on smart meters as quickly as possible.
Right, just takes time and money. And then the xeriscaping, I don't know if I missed this in the presentation, but on Oahu, their Board of Water Supply partners with different organizations that help to promote water conservation, such as Sierra Club. And they do distribution of xeriscaping, like free plant distribution, like once a year. Is that something that the department may be interested in doing?
Department.
Thank you for that question. We have worked close with Maunu Botanical Garden and others over the years to either participate in the free tree giveaways. They sponsor free plants for us we give away at the county fair. So there's different ways to engage with the public to do that. We are working with the Maunu Botanical Garden on a really exciting project for them to actually develop xeriscaping microclimate appropriate gardens to represent each microclimate of our island. So that would be, for the public to come and see what would it look like if I want to do xeriscaping and native appropriate plants in Kula. That you can actually see that. So that's underway.
Oh, great. Mahalo Maui Nui Botanical Garden for your focused partnership. Okay, and then in the presentation, you spoke about doing the smart flushing. Sorry, I don't remember what it's called. Toilets. Low flow.
Low flow toilets, yes.
And then how does that work? And would that include like some of the ideas such as like hand washing over the tank so that when you wash your hands, it can fill the tank?
Department.
I don't think we got quite that cutting edge. I kind of like the idea. The idea here is that you get a rebate if you install a low flow toilet, and we're looking at re-implementing that program.
Oh, okay. So maybe we could do a rebate for like washing your hands over the tank. I can show you the one that I got. Yeah. It's not that expensive.
I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, great. Mahalo, Chair. Yeah.
Thank you.
And online.
Member Sinensi, discussion.
Thank you, Chair, for my opportunity. Thank you for the presentation. At the beginning, you mentioned that this bill repeals Chapter 14.06A and creates this new chapter. I haven't seen 14.06A. Can you explain the differences?
Thank you for the question, Chair. So 1406A really deals with water shortages. And so we want to also include a conservation element into it. So as it currently exists, 1406A does include parts of what's going to be put into 1406B, which is, what goes on during a declared water shortage by the department, but we wanted to add additional elements into it. And so we just figured we would repeal it in its entirety and re-put in the things regarding
conservation.
include conservation as well as adding in the things that are already kind of in there for 1406A. So it's repealing, but it's really just adding to 1406A, I guess, if that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks. And then were there anything that was left out from 1406A that you didn't put back in?
I don't believe so. We just kind of renumbered it. And I think if anything, we probably made it a bit stronger. Do you?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it is what we just talked about, the shortage declaration moving from percent of predicted demand.
All right. Okay, thank you. And then I can check back later. But, and then in 1406B.110, water conservation at commercial establishments, you include hotels, motels, resorts, and then there's some improvements, water efficient indoor, outdoor fixtures, smart control irrigation systems, hiring professional landscapers, installing water efficient laundry facilities, installing heating, ventilation, air cooling systems. Have you spoken with the hotels? Are they okay with, I guess, is this gonna add to their, or is this just for new hotels, resorts?
Department.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so we are engaging with hotels, and I think one of the testifiers mentioned, I mean, these are things that are generally already implemented. Those hotels are very energy efficient. Some of them are actually LEED certified. But again, I mean, we're having this more focus on hotels through the contract the director mentioned earlier to really get, that good feedback from them, making sure that, what practices are in place and are there ways we can support them to be maybe even LEED certified in the future for those who are not. So there's two sections here. I mean, there's requirements for existing resorts, and then the more stringent measures that you mentioned, since is for new, right? When there's you're putting in a new irrigation system, new landscape, or a new resort for that matter, then these come into effect.
Because I know that we had, again, the higher use tax bracket, and some of these hotels were in the high water use bracket. And so I guess the intention for us to increase those tax rates was to, push conservation. So it sounds like they're open to doing these things due to those tax hikes, Director?
Well, yeah, I would add that, yes, I mean, I think the increase in the water rates would be a significant encouragement for them to be more conservative in water, which is why we did it. And I believe council even went further than we were going to go, which we thought was great. Thank you.
And then real quick, Chair, golf courses, are the golf courses included in, for water conservation at commercial establishments?
Department.
We currently don't serve any potable water for any golf courses.
Oh.
So a golf course clubhouse would fall under commercial, but not the irrigation of the actual course.
Then you also don't serve agriculture establishments with potable water?
There's really only Kula Agriculture Park that is using non-potable water from the department system. So other agriculture users on our system use potable water for sometimes non-potable needs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe.
So if you look at 1406B110D, it references back to commercial establishments, means establishments used for commercial purposes as defined in 1904-040. So that's, you can, and if you want, I can read that. I just need to, I just need to find it. So commercial purposes means the growing, processing, manufacturing, or sale of products or goods, or the provision of services for consideration and profit. So we reference back to a definition of it, so.
Thank you. Before we do second round, Chair's question for the department. The proposed chapter is titled Water Conservation and Control of Water During Water Shortage. But several provisions appear to apply at all times, including leak detection, education incentives, water waste prohibitions, and outdoor watering restrictions that applies regardless of whether water shortage is declared. Should the chapter title be revised to reflect the broader and ongoing scope? Or is the intent of these provisions only applied during declared water shortages?
Thank you. Well, I don't have any strong feelings about it, but I think that, I mean, this bill is kind of reflecting what the Water Shortage and Conservation Plan refers to as stage 0. You know, when we can be in a shortage situation, stage 1, 2, or 3, but these measures that are discussed and we're proposing now after the shortage declaration language is really like permanent conservation measures. So I think when we're saying in the title relating to water conservation and control of water use during water shortages, I think it captures the permanent measures, but.
I mean, I'm very supportive of it. Thank you. That does clarify it. I just wanted to emphasize during the meeting that it is not just during water shortages, but this is the Water Conservation and Control Plan. So, members, would you be receptive to a 5-minute recess? Okay, we will reconvene at 10:50. Welcome back, members. We're going to reconvene the WAI December 17th committee meeting, and it is now 11:09. Members, second round of questions. Any need? Discussion for clarification? Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. I guess on the education and outreach, is it 100% through the consultant, or are you gonna put in like a mailer in with people's bill as well, or other things like that?
In terms of outreach, if this bill is passed?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a separate contract for a consultant that really just addresses resorts. And then we, staff, are doing, a range of different kind of outreach. So, that's what we're saying, we just have to ramp up.
The consultant is only for resorts and like condos like that, and then
Yes.
you're gonna
Yeah.
do
Yeah, that's
general education and outreach. Do you have enough budget for that?
It's more the staffing, really, time and staffing, and, we still have vacancies, so it's really just time.
The South Maui Community Plan will be coming up soon, and I know they're currently working on the Central Maui Community Plan. Is any of these things need to be included in that?
Well, we do consult with the planning, long-range divisional planning department, so they're aware of the bill. I don't know if there's, I think it aligns pretty well with the draft strategies of the South Maui Community Plan now. I don't know that they need to reference each other.
Oh, okay. As in terms of like education or something, no, nothing. And then the section where they were talking about native plants, and then it mentioned like maybe also canoe plants or water efficient plants. Is there any objection to adding appropriate in front, appropriate native plants, canoe plants, or water efficient plants?
No objection.
Okay. What about like requiring sub-metering for new multifamily or commercial properties?
I like the idea. You might want to talk to the building folks about that. That's a pretty big deal.
So maybe like a later bill or something. The other one I was thinking about amending was instead of a newspaper of general circulation, could we do media, just media? Because I think we ran into that issue also with the posting of public hearings, that they said Star Advertiser is really expensive. And just putting media of general circulation could be like social media or other radio or whatever, and it just gives more flexibility.
So if we're going to do that, I would remove the term publication and just,
media.
Put some other word in there, because publication, if we don't specifically define it in the legislation, it goes back to what the HRS states, and the HRS states, so.
Okay. Add one more.
Okay, proceed.
On 14.06B.100D, we've had a flooding incident in my former job where the whole storage flooded. And really, the only way to clean out mud like that is to use water. Could that be an exception as well, like cleaning up after an indoor flooding incident?
Yeah, I think that's covered under as necessary for public health and safety.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I would also say there's also, there's one about use in, sorry, which one? I was just looking at it. Yeah, the public safety one, and then there's also repairs and maintenance activities.
Oh, so it would be already covered.
I would think that would go under maintenance activities, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's it. That's all for me.
Members, any other? Member Hodges.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask the question about the subdivisions, the one Mr. Good brought up earlier. So that's on, well, at least on your ASF, that's on page 14, paragraph C. The statement must include landscape design, irrigation, and water conservation measures as required under the chapter. Can you define what the statement you're going to be looking for? Is that just a paragraph? Is that a sentence? What are you going to be looking for in this statement? That's your added new language.
Please.
So under the what it currently exists, right, it already requires a statement regarding the water system. So they're just asking to include in that landscape design, irrigation, and water conservation measures. I think that we can probably clarify that in admin rules.
Okay.
At a later point, but I would defer to the department on that. But I think that would be the better way to go about going through, you know, if we have an admin rule that specifies what needs to be included in the statement, that would be a better place to do it.
Okay. And then because this is for a subdivision, the subdivision is obviously just, unfortunately, it's lines on a piece of paper. That takes a long time. And then you go through the building permit requirement, and they're going to require an LPAP in planning. How is this going to be in line with the LPAP when they have to do that? If it, like, let's say it's commercial and not residential. Do you know? The landscape parking plan that requires some irrigation requirements. Did you guys coordinate the LPAP to this as well? And what happens to the LPAP during times of conservation? Do you know?
I will admit I did not consider that when I was reviewing this bill.
Okay. I mean, it is quite nuanced, but right when we do a commercial subdivision and you have to do your parking plan, you're required an LPAP, your landscape parking plan, and so I'm just wondering how that lines up, and then how that would work with your statement, but. My other question that I had separately to all the questions that Mr. Good asked was, how did you folks work with the other departments? And I was going to bring up the LPAP with planning, so, okay.
Frankly, as the director gave credit in the beginning, there's a staff member that has worked
and
on
he's
stuck in travel engagement. So I can't defer to him because he's not here.
Okay.
I do know that, there was engagement between, I mean, I just know for the planning department, but with Public Works and DSA and our own engineering division, of course, like really how we're going to process what, you know, who is this burden of administering this code falling on. So.
Okay, I know in the LPAP, I think they require some drip irrigation, so perhaps in your admin rules, you can align it in there. I don't know if that's how it works, but I don't want to hold up all the things just for an LPAP. So I'm hoping that there's another side quest we can do to make that coordinate so we don't have mismatching requirements throughout the county. Oh. Okay, that face says you have something to add now. Okay. And you're going to define that in the admin rules, and then the admin rules are going to be posted on your website before this is implemented or as this is being implemented so that people can have something to follow along, yes?
So we're going to be, you know, hopefully passing this ordinance, and then we're going to develop admin rules, and we're going to go through the normal process of admin rules where they're posted. They have to be published 30 days in advance, and then there's going to be a public meeting and et cetera. So we're going to go through that process.
Okay, because this ordinance takes effect on approval. So this is going to be, you know, within the next few weeks. How long are you going to take to develop admin rules for the details? And do you want to make it that this takes effect on some date that works better when admin rules are POW, and you can let the public know how you folks are going to be administering this?
Sure, I would think it would be effective maybe in 2 or 3 months from adoption, so we have time to develop the admin rules. Would make sense.
March 2026?
March 1st, yeah.
Okay.
They're keeping me employed.
Oh, good, we need you, so I'm glad they're giving you work. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Sinensi, do you have any questions?
I see Member Johnson has his hand up. I can go after him.
Okay, my apology. Member Johnson?
Sorry, Chair, if you're going down the line, I can wait my turn, but
I confess I was not going down the line. I was just going next to Noy.
Oh.
Hand up, please, your questions.
Okay, well, after hearing the director's comments in regards to if we do require more stricter wording on pool covers, then maybe we need a little bit of time for a phase-in. So I came up with some language, and I just want to read it, and then maybe the department and Corporation Council can speak on it. But basically, and it's on page 11 in the bill, and I'll read the numbers again. 14.06 B as in Bravo 150 swimming pools. Section A, pool covers must, and we would strike out the word should, and that's all the amendment would be for that. But then we get into section 2, it says for private swimming pools when not in use, and here's the new language, during the day, homeowners may be exempt from this provision for 1 year from the effective date of this ordinance. So that would be the language that I would propose an amendment, and I'd like to hear if that would satisfy director's concern about the rolling out or the phasing out, and also Corporation Council.
So I can support that. The department can support that. I just would say that that's placing a pretty good burden on a lot of people to get covers, but it would certainly do a lot for water conservation. So the department would support that.
Okay. Before I hear from Corporation Council, I will say I did, Google's my friend, and I did a Google search, and there are universal pool covers. There are folding pool covers. There are flaps of pool covers that you can cut and shape to your kidney-shaped pool or however shaped pool you have. But there are products on the market for very unique pools. I just throw that out. Corporation Council, what do you think?
I was going to say that I'm not particularly concerned about there being any sort of challenge to that because they're still allowed to, it's still an allowable use. It's just a restriction on the use. So it doesn't raise, concerns about a property taking, for example. So I'm not concerned about that. As far as the phasing, I defer to the department on enforceability of it. And so that's kind of where I am. But as far as including that language, I don't see a legal problem with including that language. It's an enforcement issue.
Okay. I just recalled something about, that was my, we had an internal discussion about the term that we were amending on section 2. It says homeowners may be exempt from this provision for 1 year. How about instead of homeowners, would property owners have a bit of more of a wider, better wording, property owners versus homeowners? Because I don't want to get into the idea of, what's a home, but just if you own the pool, you got to do it. So how's that? Does that sound a little bit better? Property owners instead of homeowners?
From an enforceability standard, that's much better, yes. Because we don't have to distinguish, if someone's an owner, so yeah.
Right. Okay, so that would be my amended language once we get to that phase of this discussion, Chair Cook. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
Okay. Members, any other questions before? Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, this is for countywide, yeah? This will apply to all districts?
Yeah, I believe it only applied to those areas in which the county provides water.
Provides, okay. because it does seem that, and I guess South Maui has a lot of, I guess, the swimming pools and commercial, all the hotels. So, and I'm only bringing it up because oftentimes when we do have water restrictions, it's not always here in South Maui where there's a need, right? So I like this bill, but oftentimes upcountry residents are subject to the water restrictions and not South Maui. Is there? I mean, I like this because it's addressing, you know, water use in down in South Maui. I just wanted to make that statement, Chair, that we get a lot of correspondence from people up country that have to be on water restrictions during the drought times. So, okay, thank you.
Any comments from the department?
I would just add that in 1406B-020, we specify when this language would apply. So it would be to potable water customers of the department, customers of private well, it's all customers of the department, and then customers of private water operators who are subject to these conditions as a result of an agreement between the private operator and the county or as a condition of a land use entitlement. So we're trying to make this as broad as possible, but the department is limited in its ability to enforce rules by the charter.
Members, any other questions before we recommend passage? Okay. So, seeing no further discussion, we'll move on to decision-making. The chair would like to entertain a motion on recommending passage of Bill 158 on first reading.
So move.
So moved by Member Sugimura, seconded by Member Hodges. To recommend passage of Bill 158, 2025 on first reading. Members, any discussion before I move on to my amendment summary form? Member Paulton.
Sorry, I had an amendment, but I'll wait until your amendment summary form.
Okay. Members, your chair would like to entertain a motion to substitute Bill 158, 2025 with the proposed CD1 version, incorporating the amendments referred to in the ASF's description.
So move.
Moved by Member Sugimura, seconded by Member Hodgins. To substitute Bill 158 with the proposed CD1 version. Members, this ASF amends the bill's title and purpose statement. Clarifies definitions in sections 14.01.040 and removes unused definitions. Amends section 14.06B.090 to rename commercial facilities to non-residential establishments for outdoor watering schedules and clarifies that permanent landscape restrictions apply unless a specific water shortage declaration overrides them. Deletes references to Title 19 water conservation provisions and limits substantive water conservation requirements to Title 14. Revises enforcement provisions by consolidating penalties, appeals, and service shutoff authority within section 14.06B.160 and expressively excluding chapter 14.06B from Title 19 administrative enforcement. Makes conforming amendments and non-substantive and technical revisions for clarity, consistency, and style. Is there any discussions?
So moved.
Okay. Okay, I guess this is bear with me. In discussing, so in item 1, amending the bill's title and purpose of statement, after the discussion during our break, It's to remove the conservation aspect of it. Hold on a minute. So striking during water shortages. So it would be a bill for an ordinance amending Title 14, Article 1, Maui County Code relating to public services, repealing Chapter 14.06A and establishing a new Chapter 14.06B relating to the water conservation and control of water use, period. The during water shortages is already engaged, but this particular bill will be active at all times and not just during water shortages. So clarification of that. Okay,
Excuse me, Chair.
please.
I believe the title that you were wanting to address was the chapter title as opposed to the bill title. So
Could you state that?
the chapter title, I believe that you were wanting to remove the phrase "and control of water use during water shortage" so that the title of Chapter 1406B would simply be water conservation.
Department? That works? Okay. Mr. Rowe?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So is the body, the body okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was, motion, the amendment was made, was approved by Member Paulton, seconded by Member Hodges. Okay. All in favor?
Oh, wait, she has more.
I have
Okay.
a few amendments.
Please. Okay, Member Paulton?
Okay, for my first amendment,
Excuse me, Chair. Apologies for the interruption. Was that a motion to amend the bill's title?
to substitute the ASF.
So there was already a motion made to substitute the bill with the proposed CD1. And then I believe the chair was looking for a motion to amend the title of the chapter to read water conservation.
Correct.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Member Rollins Fernandez, seconded by Member Hodges. So we pass this and then do another amendment? Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Chair, that's 7 ayes, 0 noes. Member Lee excused.
Member Paulton?
Sure. I a little bit played around with the wording, but on section 2, 14.01.040, number 6. Which is near the top. I think it's on page 2. Number 6, I'd like to amend it to say xeriscaping with water efficient native canoe or non-invasive plants. Sure.
Could you repeat
Section 2, 14.01.040, number 6, to amend that to say xeriscaping with water efficient native canoe or non-invasive plants.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Member Paulton.
With commas, yeah.
Yeah,
Excuse me, Chair.
motion made by,
Chair, apologies. Is Member Paulton referring to the definition of water efficient?
Yes.
Number 6 under the definition of water efficient. So you would use water efficient within the definition of water efficient?
Yeah, because it's already there. I just moved it to the front. Because otherwise, the way it says is xeriscaping with native plants or water efficient plants. And
I I see. Thank you,
I think not all native plants are water efficient and neither are all canoe plants. And then we don't want people to use invasive plants. So I was playing around with it in my head.
Chair, can I ask a quick question? During discussion, you were going to maybe add where appropriate. Are you still planning on doing that, or?
I thought it would be subjective.
Okay.
It was going to be appropriate native plants, but then I was like, appropriate native plants are water efficient native plants.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay,
So number 6 would read xeriscaping with water efficient native, comma, canoe, comma, or non-invasive plants. Thank you.
okay, so that's your motion.
That's my motion. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Oh, no, Kiani seconded it. Sorry, my bad.
Second.
Okay,
I seconded it.
okay, any discussion? Any comments from the department?
We support.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Aye.
Chair, I'm seeing 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excuse. Chair Lee, motion passes. So now you are back to the motion to substitute as amended.
Okay. Member Paulton?
Thank you. We'll see how this one goes. I move to amend 14.06B.040 and create a new section D that would say new commercial and multifamily residential properties served by public or private water systems are encouraged where appropriate to be built with sub-metering.
So moved by Member Paulton and seconded by Member Hodgins, and basically,
I was gonna require it, but encouraged, I think will pass.
I concur.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that amendment?
Please.
Are you going to request in-unit, because those are the ones that those are cheaper as discussed, or the landscaping one that apparently run upwards of like $50,000?
The in-unit ones.
In-unit.
Because I feel like the education part applies to it. If people know individually how much they would be charged,
Okay.
then they would be incentivized to conserve.
Okay, then before you say sub-metering, did you want to add in-unit sub-metering?
I'd love to add that as a friendly amendment.
Okay.
So Chair, staff has new commercial, amending section 1406B.040 to add a new subsection D to read, new commercial and multifamily residential properties served by public or private water systems are encouraged where appropriate to be built with in-unit sub-metering.
Yes. Okay. Any further discussion before we vote? All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Chair, 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused. Motion passes. Chair Lee is excused. So you are now back to the motion to substitute as amended.
Okay. Member Paulton?
Moving on to section 14.06B.060 A 1 through 3, I'd like to add to the 10, 20, and 30% to say 10% of current use, 20% of current use, 30% of current use to clarify for Mr. Goody.
I see the department's in concurrence with that, so that's your motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Member Sugimura. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Chair, 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused. Chair Lee, motion passes. Back to the motion to substitute as amended.
Okay, well, I will get to you, Member Johnson. Member Paulton?
I move to amend section 14.06B.070 to say section A, sorry, a notice of water shortage declaration must be in a media, posted in a media of general circulation on the county's website and to the extent possible, other available public media in the county, once a week, once each week for as long, so on and so forth. Instead of newspaper, just media.
Okay. Any comments from the attorneys? Does that work? Mr. Rowe?
My only comment, and I believe Member Bolton did address that, if we remove the term published and we just posted in media, I think that helps us, because when we use the term published, if we don't specify what published means, then we refer back to the HRS, which has different requirements. So, but if we don't use the term published, I think we're fine.
Okay.
I'm on a roll.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Oh, Chair.
Member Rollins Fernandez?
Oh, second, and then I have a question.
Question? Continue?
Okay, mahalo, Chair. I heard all media. I think media is plural. So it would be all medium or media without an ah. I heard that correctly. Just grammar. And I could be wrong because English is hard.
How's a medium? Do you guys want medium or media? I'm open, either one. Media, posted in media. Okay. Final answer.
Comments from the
Okay,
attorneys
mahalo.
before we proceed? If that's fine with you? Okay. So we have a motion by Member Paulton. We had a second by
KRF. Kiani.
Member Rollins Fernandez. So all in favor, and raise your hand and say aye if there's no discussion.
Chair, 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused. Chair Lee, motion passes. Back to the motion to substitute as amended.
Chair, staff would just ask Corporation Counsel, the second sentence of 1406B070A does still have the word published. Are you okay with that?
I'd like to change it to posted. Will be posted at least 7 calendar days before the water shortage declaration takes effect. If we can friendly amend that, that would be cool.
No objections.
Basically having C match A. Any further discussion?
Sorry, I was looking in the other part. I guess I moved to replace everywhere it says published here with posted.
Second.
Okay, Chair is pausing for confirmation from the attorneys and the powers that be. If that's an agreement and no further discussion, I'll take a vote. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Chair, motion passes. 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused. Chair Lee, excused.
Chair, if I may, it looks like in 1406B-080, we also refer to publication in a newspaper of general circulation. So I'm wondering if Member Paulton wants to also potentially do an amendment to that based on her thoughts on the previous amendment.
Yes, I'd like to move to replace everywhere in this bill where it says published in a newspaper of general circulation in the county to say posted in media of general circulation in the county.
Okay, Motion made by Member Paulton and seconded by Member Hodgins to have this read, clarify that everywhere where it says published, and it's going to say posted in media. Okay? If no further discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Chair, you have 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused. Chair Lee, motion passes.
I have 3 more.
It's only $10 a pop. Okay, Member Paulton, proceed.
I move in section 14.06B 090A number 5 to say spray irrigation must be avoided or delayed on days when the average wind exceeds 45 miles per hour. Is that too much? 30? 30 miles per hour? I meant.
Chair, if I could just clarify, that is section B, not section A.
Oh, my bad. Section B, sorry.
Thank you.
Put a number on it, you know.
Yeah. Okay, that was a motion. Is there a second before discussion? Seconded by Member Sugimura. Chair's comment for discussion would be, as opposed to a number, it's the intent not to be overspraying on, as far as, I don't know, it's whatever the department can enforce as far as the visually you're spraying the sidewalk and the road, as opposed to, you know, the wind speed varying. And I'm not trying to make it complicated. I'm just trying to make it easier to enforce and for the general public to understand that if there's a sprinkler spraying on the road, whether it's a rainy day, it's a windy day or not, that's kind of not okay. But I'm not stuck on this. I just bring it up for discussion.
Yeah, I just suggested that in response to our resource, Mr. Good, but can we ask him his thoughts?
Yeah.
Still?
Mr. Good, do you have a comment in regarding clarification on a number or excessive, or how to address that it's enforceable and general public would be able to follow it?
Thanks, Chair and Member Paulton. I just saw it kind of as an enforcement thing. What's excessive? And I'm thinking also that, golf courses, I think Member Sinensi brought that up earlier, they have their own sources of water, not county water, but they all spray at night and all types of wind. So I don't know. Of all the things that are saving water here, is this really needed? And it looks kind of unenforceable no matter what number you put in there. Those are my thoughts.
Chair, suggest changing the word must to should.
Oh, I will take that as a friendly amendment. Spray irrigation should be avoided or delayed during days where the wind averages 30 miles per hour.
Okay. Was moved by Member Paulton, seconded by Member Sugimura. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Chair, 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused. Chair Lee, motion passes.
Chair, apologies. Could staff just clarify that wording was spray irrigation should be avoided or delayed on days when the average wind speed is 30 miles per hour? So,
more than.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
2 more.
Staff, are we all good with that? Ready to move on to the next? Okay, Member Paulton.
Thank you. Next section 14.06B.120. I move to amend the wording after the header new irrigation systems to say all commercial, hotel, multifamily residential, public use developments, single family lots in excess of half an acre, and ag lots 5 acres or less on the non-agricultural portion of the lot. must install water efficient irrigation systems if they are, and then so on and so forth. So also from our resource, adding in single-family residence on properties greater than a half acre and ag lots on the non-ag portion for lots less than 5 acres or less. And I'll need a second.
Okay, that's a motion, a second. Seconded by Member Sinisi, and now for discussion. Member Sugimura. Department's comment.
Yeah, obviously, I like the idea. I'm concerned about this bill already adds a lot of enforcement load on the department, and this seems like it would be a significant increase in that. That's my concern. Again, I like the idea, but I'm concerned about our ability to enforce.
I understand that, you know, look at our zoning laws and drive around my neighborhood, but, you know, for those that come into self-compliance, it could be a significant reduction. So I can understand that it won't be strictly enforced, but I think it is a good or best policy.
So instead of must, could you put encouraged?
Well, that would change the part about commercial, hotel, multifamily, residential, and public use developments, because that part says must.
Right.
I mean, I think the easiest way for them to enforce on single-family lots greater than half an acre or agricultural properties 5 acres or less on the non-agricultural portion is similar to zoning by complaint. So if we leave it as must and somebody sees their neighbor installing irrigation and they file a C-click fix or something, then it doesn't take that much more effort on the department's side other than replying to the C-click fix and checking it out. It's not like they're gonna be driving around ag subdivisions and stuff.
So any other comments for discussion before the chairs? Member Sugimura?
Thank you. Can we hear from Mr. Good? What he thinks as a practical user of all of this?
It was his suggestion.
Mr. Good, did you hear Member Paulson's suggestion?
I didn't know it's his suggestion.
Yeah, I'm thrilled working with Ms. Bolton. No, this is great. I think that in general, where the department would see it would be in a plumbing permit application, right? So someone's redoing their landscaping, and part of that may require a plumbing permit. So those plumbing permits would be forwarded to the department. My recollection is there's not a lot of plumbing permits for new irrigation. We're talking about new redo irrigation. And so I think the workload is probably less than the director might think it is. So my vision was more like redo, not for all existing uses. So that's all my comments.
Oh, good.
Okay. The chair's comment is concerned about policies that are affected by complaint-driven. And I think in the planning department in ZAG, that's a challenge. It can put the burden on the department to put kind of a somewhat ugly aspect of what they're doing. They're supplying water and they're encouraging people to do it. So that's my only problem is the enforcement aspect of it. For new, it seems like it'd be much more applicable.
Yeah, this is new. The section is new irrigation systems, and what Mr. Good said, I didn't take into consideration that it would be applying for a permit to install a new irrigation system, so they can check it off at that time, I guess, instead of complaint driven.
Okay. Any other further discussion?
Chair, apologies. Could staff just ask for some clarification? So the phrase is being added after and public use developments, is that correct? So all commercial, hotel, multifamily, residential, public use developments.
Yeah, and
Okay.
single family.
And single family lots in excess of half an acre. single-family lots in excess of half an acre and agricultural lots of 5 acres or less.
On the non-agricultural portion of the lot.
Thank you.
I have a clarification question. So, the non-ag portion of the lot, the whole thing is zoned ag. So do you want to clarify that's like the non-farm plan portion of the lot?
I would love to do that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, and then further question, because so when you submit your farm plan, you work with planning and then you work with water department, and that's how you get your ag water rates. Do they, I don't know this to be true or not. Do they submit the same farm plan to you folks and planning? You take the same information to whatever planning uses when they build it, and then whatever you folks use, or how is this going to, how is that going to work?
Looks like Mr. Good might have an answer.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear from whatever. I know it's just two separate entities. It's been a while since I've done it. Eva, did you want to answer? And then I can ask Mr. Good too.
Yeah, so in terms of the ag rate, I don't think that we are reviewing the farm plans. I'm not sure how that would be coordinated with defining that farm plan portion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, because then what I was looking for really is just to clarify that like the whole property is zoned ag. So then just to separate the part that's used as the farm plan or used as the farm, and then the dwelling side. But maybe Mr. Good can answer my first question too.
Mr. Good?
Member Hodges, I don't know. I had a separate potential friendly amendment to offer.
Okay, will you please share your thought?
Sure. That was, we've been talking about single family, over ½ acre, and ag under 5 acres, but there's also rural. So I'm thinking about zoning. The rural properties are ½ acre, right, and more.
Yep.
So I think maybe a friendly amendment could be offered that says, based on Ms. Paulton's suggestion of saying rural and ag, less than 5 acres. That's it. That's why I had my hand raised.
Okay.
Rural and ag less than 5 acres in the non-farm plan portion of the property.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But the rural zoned properties don't necessarily submit a farm plan. I get your point. I'm just wondering how we can make the wording make sense. You know what I mean? Because you have 4 or 5 acres, you would need 2.5 in your farm plan to qualify to build your second farm dwelling. If not, it really isn't checked. And then for you folks to get your ag water rates, they would need that as well. And then I guess the dwelling portion of the property for the remainder, I think it has to be more than 50%. So let's say 2.4%, 2.4 acres. How do you guys determine, what do you guys call that part? Do you have a terminology used for the portion of the ag land that's not in active farm use? Oh, I mean, I don't either, so no judgment there.
I called it the non-farm plan portion.
Okay, maybe non-farm plan portion then.
But can we approve it as to legislative intent and have smarter people than us pretty it up?
That'd be great.
Before first reading?
And I'm, if I may, farm plan where applicable or where necessary might be a good addition.
Okay. On
Maybe
ag land, 'cause
where
it's not
necessary.
rural.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And Chair, just to clarify, the process to get a lot approved, the farm plan approved, is different than the process to get ag rates. So those are really two separate processes. They don't really relate to each other, just to be clear. Yeah, I should say, the process to get a farm plan approved is one process. The process to get ag rates is a totally separate process. Yeah.
Yes, that part I realize it's with two separate departments at two separate times, but I'm just wondering if there's any coordination in between what's submitted. Because farm plan is what planning use, but they have more regulation, I think, than what you folks use for your water ag rates when they build their dwellings.
Yeah, different, right? It's different
Yeah.
criteria, right?
Yeah. So I was just wondering because I would like to see it be cohesive so that when somebody does something for planning, then when they go to get their water ag rates and they're trying to do this, you're not like, oh, that doesn't make sense for us, but they already submitted it for planning.
Understand.
Yeah, thank you.
So being that there's a lot of discussion on that, is that something we want to include now, or we want to do as their part of administrative rules?
We can take a vote on the legislative intent, and before first reading, if the people that are familiar with legislative drafting principles could make it look pretty for us, that would be great.
Okay, staff? Okay, I'm seeing nodding heads. Okay, ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Chair, I'm seeing 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excuse. Chair Lee, motion passes. And we're still on the, we're back to the motion to substitute as amended.
Right.
Last one, section 14.06B.130, new landscape design projects, A, all new commercial, hotel, multifamily, residential, public use development, single family or rural lots greater than half an acre, ag lots of 5 acres or less on the applicable portion, and all commercial, hotel, multifamily, residential, and public use properties, single family or rural lots, half an acre or more, applicable parts of ag lots, 5 acres or less, must properly configure to a high-efficiency irrigation system and incorporate water-efficient landscape planting plans such as xeriscaping or the use of native drought-tolerant plants. It sure is.
So the department, I need you to speak up because a lot of this is what.
I have no idea what she's, no, we support.
So as far as enforcement, implementation and enforcement, the whole intent of this is basically for water conservation and to have a new sort of rules of the road that are followable, that people grasp and understand. And
Do they need to pull a permit to do a new landscape design project? No. Okay. So that would be a complaint-driven process. Did I get a second?
I don't think so. Did you feel strongly about this?
Just, trying to make our resources time worthwhile, but if you guys don't want to second it, I'm okay. I had a pretty good run.
I'd say you had an exceptional run. I believe, Mr. Johnson, it's 12:03, and Chair would like to request everybody's agreement and cooperation to continue. Okay, thank you. Member Johnson, did you have an amendment?
Thank you, Chair. Well, I just want to make amendment. It's going to be on page 11 of the bill or page 13 in the PDF version. And I'll try to go slow for everybody, but you understand where I was coming from because I did a little bit on the discussion, but it's 14.06 B as in Bravo, .150. And it's going to be taking erasing should and putting in must. And then in the second section, it's going to say, during the day, property owners may be exempt from this provision. And then we just, how about until March 1st of 2027, a year out? I wanted to kind of put in the actual day, unless you guys want to say, a year since this takes on effect. But I was thinking about actually putting in the month just to be clear, but I'm willing to move that if you guys want that. But I thought March 1st, 2027. it gives a little bit more clarity. So that would be my amendment, members.
Who, Hodges?
Thank you. So typically, we have to, if people come in for a building permit is when we can enforce the new codes like this one. And so if you wanted to put pool covers, and maybe Department and Caleb can help me figure out how this would work. So if you wanted to put pool covers, this would all be new swimming pools because they would be held to this this current code that's going to be proposed. Existing swimming pools, in order to make them compliant, the March 1st deadline would come into effect if they came in for a new building permit for whatever reason, and then you would have them put on a pool cover. But other than that, we wouldn't necessarily have a method to enforce because they're not coming and asking us for anything.
Department.
Yes, I think, I mean, this provision is really coming from community, you know, wanted to address swimming pools, and we're looking at if it's efficient. So for existing pools, it's certainly going to be complaint-based. There is no permitting. So it's going to have it in the bill and having it part of, you know, the outreach campaign, putting on folks' radar.
Right. It's no different than I'm assuming how we're getting people to move over to the IWS from cesspools, right? It's not enforced until they come in, until 2050, until they come in for a building permit. And then that's how we get them to change from a cesspool to an IWS. This is, I'm assuming, going to be similar. I'm totally cool with the pool covers. I'm just wondering about how it's going to be applied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, so this is more sort of like something the community wanted, is not completely or at all enforceable for existing uses unless there's a change.
Yeah, these are all for new swimming pools. So Member Johnson, considering it's for new swimming pools, do you want to put in a timeline?
I think it's, you know, the fact that some folks will have some self-enforcement. I know I like that term that we were just discussing on that it's the end is saving water. So I'm happy with the way it goes now. And just like what the department says, if they
the March
do come
1st, 2027?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. If you guys agree, I'm totally would like to do it that way.
Okay. And then as a reminder, your amendment included in paragraph A, pool covers must, not should. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
The front scratch should, put in the must. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Member Sugimura?
Yeah, can we hear from Mr. Good? Because he was talking about his neighbor earlier as an example, but is this okay with you?
Mr. Good, comments?
I'm not really an expert in pool covers, so I'll defer. I'm just concerned that for existing users, and it sounds like Member Johnson found some resources out there, you know, their ability to get the pool covers on and off. The ones I've seen, it's not easy, and you want a mechanical system that's usually designed into the pool. But anyway, I don't know enough about it. Sorry.
Thank you.
For clear, asking my chair's question for the department, parks, hotels, public pools, where do they fit in this?
Well, I believe the language is that they would be required to have covers unless it was a public safety issue. Right? So, yeah.
So they would be required to have
Unless it's a public
covers.
safety issue. Right.
And is that if they're not used daily, if they're not used for 30 days consecutively?
Yeah, that would be my suggestion, yes.
I gave you two options. If they're not used, one suggestion that I heard was if they're not, they need to be covered during the day if you're not there. And the other one was if they're not used for 30 consecutive days, as if somebody has gone vacation or whatever. Just trying to get clarity for hotels, private residences, parks, and everybody to get really clearly defined parameters of when they would be required and what exceptions there would be.
Yeah, so our proposal was for, if it's unused for 30 days.
Okay. Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, I would just say that in A, we use the term should, and in B, we used required. So it's required when it's 30 days, and it's encouraged for private swimming pools when not in use, and then with Member Johnson's amendment during the day. So there was a distinction in the bill as written by removing the term should and replacing it with must. They're kind of both applicable to the same thing.
Okay.
Member Johnson, did you follow that? And are you in agreement?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. So if, okay, for a little more clarification, if someone has a pool for more than 30 days and they currently don't have a pool cover, they would be required to implement that. Okay.
And just, Chair, just to let you know, hotels won't need, as pools are being used every day, right? The use of, if they're working on it, yeah, sure, but hotels won't need pool covers as they use it every day.
I hear you. I am all for an advocate to conserve water, and I know that evaporation is a factor. Being kind of pragmatic, pool covers, depending on how they are, designing, implementing them, where you store the stuff and how you deal with it. So I'm okay with this, but I'd like to have some mechanism where people acknowledge it's like if we all looked at it and went, yeah, like that's not practical, what do they do? Any comments, Director?
Well, there could be a process that would allow them to appeal.
That's good. Do we need to put that in, or is there an existing process that they would be able to do? Member Uhajas, you said?
There's a BVA.
Boards and variances, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an expensive process, but. Unless you wanted to put where reasonable or with director approval or review or something.
Yeah, how about with director's discretion if you
More pressure on you,
sometimes
director, I saw your face.
Well, the swimming pools are. Okay, Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, if I may, if this were enforced, it would result in a violation and penalties. And then in the following section right after that, 1406B160, we do have a policy for how violations are issued and how those are appealed. And we actually have taken that to the Board of Water Supply rather than the BVA. But yeah, it would be based on a citation, and then you would appeal the citation. Does that clarify at all? Hopefully, or confuse everyone more?
Member Sugimura.
So Board of Water Supply would receive this complaint, appeal. How much are your fees? Because I'm hearing a lot about BVA is $4,100 for the appeal. For the appeal to BW, Board of Water Supply.
I think it's $300, but I would have to double check that. I think it's $300.
Thank you.
Yes, but don't encourage them to appeal to the Board of Water Supply.
So for any further discussion on this, I'm not in support of must, and I'm not really supportive of people waking up tomorrow and finding out that the swimming pool that they've had in their yard for however long period of time, they're now subject to this. And if they want to file an appeal, then they have to go through an exhaustive process.
Okay.
I think new is absolutely manageable. I just don't see that the existing pools being manageable. And that's my problem. I think it just gets sticky. And
Roll call.
So,
Okay, Chair, before you do roll call, I mean, if you allow, I'll just say, we put the wording in to give them a year, so they're not gonna wake up tomorrow and feel that they're out of compliance. So I tried to alleviate you guys' concerns with making this amendment with these carve-outs, so hopefully I could get your support, but I did move to make it so that they got a year from when this bill is enacted. Thank you, Chair.
thank you, sir. I understand the intent to give them some time, but it's like the clock started, so. Roll call?
Wait, I have a
Chair,
question.
Okay, further discussion. Member Hodges.
there's not been a second on the motion.
Second.
Okay, it was motion made by Member Johnson, seconded by Member Senensi, and we're into discussion for Member Hodges.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to ask for the existing pools and how they would enforce it. So like our cesspool requirement for the conversion, it's not complaint-based. It's only when you come in for a building permit. So that's why I was asking how this would be implemented on existing pools.
And I heard that question, and
Yeah.
I heard the response, but it seems the way it's written, it's for pool covers required for all private swimming pools and must be used when the property is vacant or when the swimming pool is unused for more than 30 days, except for times of pool repair.
Yep.
So,
But this was my question for Mr. Rowe. For all new codes like this and any other one, my house, for instance, doesn't meet all the building code requirements now, I'm not required to update my house to current building code standards unless I come in for a building permit. Regardless if somebody complains, it is what it is. So that's my question. How would this be enforced? If somebody comes in for a new building permit, is that when you would require a pool cover? Or is it, we're gonna go headhunting existing pools and we're gonna now be complaint driven?
Hero?
I believe the intent is for it to be complaint-driven for existing pools, and then there's a separate provision for when they're required. So. Right. So portion A, as currently written, is suggested. We're encouraging people, and then B is required, and so that would be complaint-driven.
For B is complaint driven. Or A is complaint driven.
B is complaint-driven because A is not mandatory. It's
A
encouraged.
is not mandatory, B is complaint driven. Okay.
And I would defer to the department on new swimming pools, the question of new swimming pools. For existing swimming pools, it would be complaint-driven because as you noted, there's no real mechanism for approving them if they already exist.
Yes.
Yeah,
Chair?
the way, sorry.
Oh, can you answer my question real quick, Ms. Bloomingstein?
Yeah, so I mean, our intent here was the pool covers for existing use for all is a suggestion, should be used to limit evaporation. Existing swimming pools that are not in use for 30 days would be a complaint-based.
Yeah,
So that-
existing
and then,
swimming
of course,
pools.
New is, this applies to new pools as well, of course, but this was the intent really, to not have to, like I say, hunt down individuals for, if it's a shorter time frame. 30 days is a different thing. That's more of a rental property, maybe vacant for 30 days.
Okay. And then in order for somebody to make a legitimate complaint, are you going to have them take pictures of 30 days where it's not in use? Or how would you enforce that? And how would you determine that they didn't use it for 30 days?
So right now, when we get complaints from shortage violation, those are actually, there could be like a video of
A
10 days
video.
of use.
A video.
Or whatever the violation is, so something
Okay.
like that.
Okay, because I mean, this is splitting hairs, but let's say my neighbor has a pool, it's not in use all day, but somebody jumped in it in the morning and I took a picture in the afternoon and nobody was in it. That's kind of difficult to enforce. So I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to be applied. I'm very curious. But I want I want them to have swimming pool covers. I think that's the best thing. I'm just very curious how this is going to work for almost all of them. But thanks.
Mr. Rowe?
I mean, I guess my answer to that would be they would be issued a notice of violation if they want to present evidence that they hopped in the pool the morning before the picture was taken. They could present that evidence upon appeal to the Board of Water Supply. Confirmed is $300 for the appeal fee. Yeah.
So.
Chair.
I heard. Member Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Before you call for the question, I'll just add one more thing. This whole bill is asking everyone to kind of, tighten their belts. And, it's time to ante up and kick in, especially when we're talking about water and drought and how our housing has been tied to water. Homes with pools can do a little more. They can step up and put the cover on. We heard before when there was discussion on eliminating pools, how a pool cover eliminates all of the evaporation. So this is a good compromise. We're trying to get the pool cover on. I just ask for the members' support in this. I think it was a really good meeting and we had great discussions where a lot of amendments were made. It was pretty smooth. So I'm just hoping we end on a smooth one. Thank you, Chair.
Staff, excuse me, Chair. Sorry, could staff just get clarification before you call for the vote? When Member Johnson said this provision, that relates specifically to A2, is that correct?
If you don't like provision, I'll take another word. What do you recommend?
If I could just get clarification, then we can adjust it. If it's limited strictly to paragraph A2.
Member Johnson?
Okay, let me understand your question there. You're saying that, so homeowners may exempt from this provision, and that would be A2 during the day? Well, I guess maybe we should change from this section. I don't know where do you want it to be in? I'm just trying to say that they don't need a pool cover until a year from this starting into effect.
You're talking specifically about paragraph 2 where it starts for private swimming pools when not in use during the day.
I think the sentence where it says homeowners may be exempt from this provision for 1 year from the effective, or for 1 year, March 1st, 20. It's saying that they're exempt from this of getting a pool cover for a year. So they, just like Councilmember Cook said, they're not just surprised on it. So that's the intent of it.
Member Hodges and then members Sugimura.
Oh, I only have one quick amendment at the end. I have no further discussion with this amendment.
Member Sugimura, question? Oh, Member Paulton.
I just had a discussion that I'll be voting in support, and this is great foreshadowing for this afternoon. Thank you.
Comment? Mr. Rowe?
I hope I answered staff's question and I'm ready to vote.
Chair, I think to get to what Member Johnson is reaching for, we could potentially add a portion C that specifically says, for existing pools, this ordinance shall not take effect until the date that you guys decide. I think that's a way to make this all work for your intention.
Thank you, Mr. That's a friendly amendment. I'll accept that as a friendly amendment, Chair.
Okay, is everybody ready to vote? Okay, Member Sugimura.
No.
Member Paulton?
Aye.
Member, do I see Member Rollins Fernandez? Okay. Member Hodgins?
Aye.
Member Snensi?
Aye.
The chair? No. Anybody?
Sorry, Chair, aye.
Okay. And Member Johnson?
Aye.
Okay. Apologize for not seeing everybody, and staff, did we get everybody?
No, it wasn't you, Chair.
And do you have an account? Do you have a count?
Thank you, Chair. So I believe the count is 5 ayes, 2 noes, 1 excused, Chair Lee, so the motion passes.
Okay, so now we are for the main motion as amended? No,
So Chair, you're actually back to the motion to substitute as amended.
okay, member to substitute is amended, and Member Hodges, did you have an amendment?
Yes, thank you. On page 15, section 9, in discussion, we discussed that this ordinance with the existing language takes effect on approval, but the water department will need some time to create their admin rules and get that published and worked with the public. I think we discussed creating the date of effectiveness on March 1st, 2026. So on section 9, I would like to remove the word approval and put in and substitute that language as March 1st, 2026, period.
Second.
Motion made by Member Hodges, seconded by Member Sinensi. Discussion, department comment?
Support.
Okay, they're in compliance. Members, any other comments before we vote?
No other comments, Chair.
I'm not missing anybody? Okay, staff. We are now at,
Chair, I believe you have to take the vote on the motion
Okay.
to amend.
All those in favor?
all those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused, Chair Lee, motion passes. So you're back to the motion to substitute as amended.
Okay, motion to substitute as amended.
Aye.
Motion made by Member Sugimura,
Oh.
seconded by Member Hodgins.
I thought we did that. Not voting. Okay,
Any further discussion? Everybody ready to vote?
ready to vote.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Chair, I'm seeing 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused, Chair Lee, motion passes. So now you're back to the main motion as amended.
Okay, main motion as amended.
Aye.
All in favor?
Chair, 7 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused, Chair Lee, motion passes.
Thank you all. That concludes today's meeting. Any
Good
other
job.
comments? Enjoy your lunch, enjoy the holidays.